Watching Times Now. My name is Amita Vadva. Let's get you the top story this hour. As far as U.S. President Donald Trump is concerned, his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and reach a deal has now expired, as the Middle East is on the edge once again as uncertainty looms over Trump's next move. Just last night, the President of the United States issued a strong warning, hinting at a major escalation. He said it clearly that Iran can be taken out in one night, and that night could be as soon as tomorrow, even as the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has warned of more strikes as far as reactions that have been coming in on this latest warning issued by President Donald Trump.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen.
Given that you are now dealing, you say, with a more reasonable, less extreme leadership in Iran, what does that mean for the protesters, for the human rights movement in that country after this conflict?
Well,
what's your
positive
expectation?
Yeah, if they assume control, if we do something and they assume control, I think it's very positive, a big step. I don't think you'd see the radicalization that you have seen in the last. Look what happened. I mean, the women are being executed because they're not properly clothed, they say. They're not properly clothed, and they execute the women. They shoot them right on the street. No, you have a much different group of people. Now, I'm not saying we are dealing with them. Essentially, they have till 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern time. But we are dealing with them. I think it's going well. Mr. Witkoff is here, and JD's involved in the dealing. Mr. Witkoff is sitting right here, and I think it's going fine, but we'll have to see.
Per the president's direction, today will be the largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation. Tomorrow, even more than today. And then Iran has a choice. Choose wisely, because this president does not play around. You can ask Soleimani, you can ask Maduro, you can ask Khamenei.
Well, that seems to be the sentiment that is now being shared as far as when it comes to President Trump's pressure tactic is now concerned, which Iran seems to be outrightly rejecting. As far as when it comes to even the proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or there would be nothing but hellfire. However, Iran has been consistent as far as reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, saying that that is not going to happen, even if there are ceasefire talks that happen between the two sides. However, if there has been any progress made on that front, that is still not much known about that. But as far as the ultimatum, the deadline is concerned, well, if that is now ending, what really happens next? Because President Trump says that it will not take him days, but within hours that he can wipe out the entire country, especially when it comes to its power plants there, its energy infrastructure, till the time that America had been restricting itself not to hit those areas. However, President Trump says either agree to the terms and conditions or face hellfire. Well, that seems to be the straight up warning or a blunt warning that has now been issued by the President of the United States of America. And of course, when it comes to the daring rescue operation that was carried out of one of the crew members there who was in the enemy territory within 36 hours of far as this operation has been carried out. Well, President Trump is of the opinion that as far as there could be a certain leak or a mole within the administration. This seems to be one of the shocking updates that he's now shared. However, he's praised his military, he's praised his administration, saying that not one American would be left behind in the enemy territory. But as far as Iran is concerned, it has rejected the U.S. ceasefire proposal and has listed at least 10 demands point plan. Let's in the meantime also talk about praising the historic rescue mission, what President Trump has said, calling it as an extraordinary display of American military might. And he has claimed that Iranian forces were left completely confused during the operation and asserted that no other country possesses such military capability. Highlighting the scale, President Trump said that 155 aircrafts and 3 helicopters were deployed for the rescuing of the pilot.
Within hours, our armed forces deployed 21 military aircraft into hostile airspace, many flying at very low altitude, being shot by bullets. The flight crews and warfighters aboard those aircraft took extraordinary risks to rescue their fellow service members. This first wave of search and rescue forces successfully located the pilot of the F-15, and he was extracted from enemy territory by an HH-60 Jolly Green II helicopter. Meanwhile, the second crew member, a weapons system officer, highly respected colonel, had landed a significant distance away from the pilot. He was injured quite badly and stranded in an area teeming with terrorists from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps rough group, as well as besieged militia and local authorities. Many, on top of everything else, they told the communities actually within inside of Iran, the people of Iran, they were given a tremendous incentive to find this pilot. Despite the peril, the officer followed his training and climbed into the treacherous mountain terrain. We immediately mobilized a massive operation to retrieve him from the mountain holdout. The second rescue mission involved 155 aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, 13 rescue aircraft, and more. We were bringing them all over, and a lot of it was subterfuge. We wanted to have them think he was in a different location because they had a vast military force out there. Thousands of people were looking. Both members of the crew ejected from the aircraft and landed alive on Iranian soil. I immediately was asked to make a decision. I ordered the U.S. Armed Forces to do whatever was necessary to bring our brave warriors back home. A risky decision, because we could have ended up with 100 dead as opposed to 1 or 2. It's a hard decision to make. But in the United States military, we leave no American behind. We don't do it.
Well, Rishabh is connected with us. Rishabh, good morning. Top highlights as far as President Trump's address is now concerned. We're looking at as far as the 48-hour deadline that seems to be given to Iran. That also seems to be closing soon.
Well, Amita, definitely in about 24 hours from now, that deadline will also end. But there are certain things that people are talking about, and there are many things from the address of Donald Trump from the Oval Office last night, India time, is that experts are not agreeing to joining the dots of the unfolding of this event of the rescue of the pilot has been questioned by many experts. For example, the way extraction has taken place, the way 2 C-30 aircrafts have been blown up by U.S. forces themselves. The pictures are horrific. If we talk about the whole extraction process, the planes landed about 250 kilometers away from the site where the pilot was. The pilot, who is said to be highly decorated colonel, was severely wounded. And then, the U.S. theory says that he climbed about 7,000 feet, which is about 2.1 kilometer on the mountains. And, after that, the planes landed. From there, the U.S. SEALs and Delta Force took a helicopter to the place, extracted the pilot amid heavy gunfire, came back and left. If you see the location from where the extraction has taken place, it is equally far from Kuwait than from where they landed within Iran and Isfahan. So there are multiple questions that are being raised on the turn of events and how things unfolded, and if things unfolded that way or not. So the theory of the United States is being challenged worldwide right now. Remains to be seen what unfolds from there. But a rescue that will definitely go down in history books, that's for sure. Yesterday also, Amita, we were discussing that how this whole rescue operation is straight out of a thriller Hollywood movie. And we have seen that in US movies on
But President Trump, however, has detailed how this rescue mission, a very risky one, however, had taken place and successfully, because he says that we do not leave American soldiers behind, and that is the thing that is there in American military. Well, this is something, even more shocking, that he seems to be suggesting what may have happened as to the information that supposedly was leaked on the whereabouts of this second crew member of this downed plane. Please just stay on with us, Rishabh. We also talk about when it comes to US that seems to be celebrating the success of this rescue mission, a major controversy is around, where President Trump claimed that sensitive details about the missing airmen were leaked, suggesting presence of a certain mole within the system. According to Trump, Iran was initially unaware that a second crew member was missing. He had warned that those responsible will be hunted down and could face jail time, calling the leak to be serious and a threat to national security.
But these two extraordinary rescues, because it was two, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour, and then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker, and talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out, because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about. We're going to find out it's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long, and I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk.
Well, Rishabh, what is President Trump hinting at? Who probably leaked as far as the information of a second airman?
Well, definitely, this is something that is coming from Donald Trump, that whoever leaked the information about the second missing airman will go to jail, and we will find him out, and we'll go to media company and check their sources as well. This is something that, in United States at least, and I was just trying to pull out the amendment. I think it is 6th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that safeguards the journalists from giving out their sources to any authority as well, if I'm not wrong. But the way Donald Trump says that it is national security and will ask the media company to reveal the name of their source, or else they would go to jail, remains to be seen how things unfold. Because yes, it was not a Gulf country media, not a media from Gulf countries or other parts of the world, but from within US the news first came in that there is a US pilot who is missing after the crash, and US does not know the whereabouts of the certain pilot. So it remains to be seen how things unfold. But yes, the one thing is very sure, that the news came out from the Pentagon source, definitely, because Pentagon or the Central Command, these are the two places who would have known that there is a pilot missing first, even before Donald Trump would know. Pentagon or Central Command of United States military would know that there is a pilot missing, and from there only the news would have reached certain journalists, and that's how it came in media as well. Remains to be seen how things unfold. This is Donald Trump's era, and he hasn't played by book, so we'll have to wait and see how things unfold.
Absolutely, because the jet that was downed, it had two crew members, as far as one of them who was rescued, but that information that did not go out, as President Trump said. However, the second one, his life was put in potential danger, as what President Trump seems to be hinting of a possible mole or a leak of information that happened from within. Let's, in the meantime, get you another breaking update, because the West Asia war that seems to be escalating further with President Trump's explosive warning, saying that there are reports on Netanyahu-Trump phone conversations but Netanyahu seems to have warned President Trump against a ceasefire, warning Trump against agreeing to any deal by saying that ceasefire would also come with significant risk. As Prime Minister of Israel seems to have warned President Trump against a ceasefire at this stage with Iran. And what has now been said, this comes hours after a Pakistan brokered draft proposal for a temporary 45-day ceasefire was submitted both to Washington and Tehran for consideration. Iran, however, in response has rejected the offer and demanded nothing less than a permanent ceasefire, while President Trump continues to refer to his ultimatum for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by Tuesday night or face hell. Well, when it comes to this objective, Rishabh, that we have seen, clearly very different on what President Trump wants, on what Prime Minister Netanyahu wants.
Well, Amita, one thing is very clear. While US is looking for an off-ramp from this very conflict and they want to get out of this war as soon as possible, Israel has a different take on the same. Israel wants this war to continue. Israel wants that the last, infra of Iran should be decimated, because one thing is very clear. While US came into this war because Israel wanted this, because US did not have any imminent danger coming in from Iran. US is about 10,000 miles away from, or kilometers away from, for that matter, from Iran, and there was no way Iran would have been an imminent threat to the sovereignty of US. Their land, their people, they all were not on target of Iran before 28th of February. It was Israel who have had conflict with Iran in last 4 decades, and Israel in last 2 years, since 3 years for that matter, since the Gaza war has begun, understood that if Iran is not tackled, it would be a difficult phase for Israel today, tomorrow, in coming future. Yes. When this war began, the objectives were clear: regime change. They came in with a regime change objective in this war, but the way things have unfolded, US now believe that it could be next Vietnam for them, and they have to get out of this war. This is something that within the Trump administration, many believe. They might not say this publicly, but within Trump administration, they want a desperate ceasefire. On the other hand, Netanyahu and Israel do understand that the way Iran has tackled this whole war in last 39 days, today's 39th day, and why we emphasize on the day, because experts thought that this war would continue for 4 days, 10 days, or at max 15 days, and
but again,
Iran would
President
surrender.
Trump, there has been a lot of back and forth, because there have been multiple deadlines also that has been given by him. But however, remains to be seen, as he said, in the coming 2 to 3 weeks, what decision that the United States of America takes.